Good morning, everyone, and hopefully have not yet broke YouTube or Piper Academy. I promise, Piper, it was like that when I got it. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know what's going on, man. Everything is just broken today. Since yesterday, just so you guys know, I don't know if this is YouTube coming back at me. Since yesterday I was trying to go live, and I just couldn't. I don't know what's going on there. Let me see. I don't know. How could maybe I can fix that? I have no idea, guys. No live chat. All right, I see 11 views here, 10 chat rate, current viewers 17, 16. Guys, thank you so much for joining. I don't know what's happening here. Let me see. Maybe I can do another perspective in here. Not quite sure. I've been fighting from YouTube since yesterday. Not sure if it's on my end or YouTube's end. I believe it has to do with YouTube's end. Maybe. All right, but we have a lot of things to do here. Let's go over, well, not that much. It's been a quiet day today, but something important has happened. Well, we see a good result, good speech from Donald Trump in China. Basically not saying that they didn't came out to an agreement or anything like that. In fact, you can see in the thumbnail saying, Donald Trump wants good things for China. Let's go over to the news and then we'll take a look at the charts right away. And I still need to open up my charts. All right, let's go to the news. All right, let's get started at the center here. Let's get started with the thumbnail. Let me bring up my volume set here so I can project some audio for you guys. And well, then let's hear what Trump had to say on June the 9th.
We are doing well with China. China's not easy, just like your home country is not easy there. I think we're doing very well. They're over there now. I'm only getting good reports. It's a little early, but they'll be calling in soon. In fact, probably when I get back, I'll have my first call from them. We want to open up China. And if we don't open up China, maybe we won't do anything. But we want to open up China. It'll be a great thing for China, a great thing for the rest of the world.
Are you willing to lift export controls when it comes to China? Did you give your negotiators any sort of limitations?
Well, you can see it was updated a day ago, basically right after the meetings in here. Something important that I can read out of what's happening here, it is that, all right, he says they haven't opened up China. They want to open up China. He also acknowledged that China maybe is not an easy country to be at. And well, then I believe he also goes ahead and jokes like he's going to be eating some street food in China or something around that. I don't quite remember the full noting here, but basically this is just bullish. That's why you see me a little bit happy here. Remember what I mentioned yesterday. If we see good results, or at least not an escalation of this pattern or of this, like tariffs and stuff, communications, deals, whatever you want to call it, well, then I think the markets are going to start jumping into the green area. So as we mentioned, look at that. We are green all over the place. Well, then it's not such a great jump as you might be seeing, but still we are green. So we are seeing a couple of stuff bouncing up. Although Bitcoin, and let's go to my charts really quickly, Bitcoin, it is at the same time but trying to push upwards. Let me clean this up a little bit. Let's dive into Bitcoin right away, and then we continue with the news, because I think we are into a possible position where we can be bouncing to the upside. So let me just clear this up. Let's zoom in. Let's bring Mr. Chunky Candles in the house in here. And remember that I was expecting a further move to the upside, right? In fact, it played out very nicely. We went back down to our area. This is our entry. I did not call it. In fact, I was speaking with Alex on crypto, and he told me I'm giga long, brother. And I was like, wait, what? And I ran to my charts and I saw that I have missed my entry. But look at that, I had a second chance. So just so you know, I am a longing Bitcoin as we retraced. I'm barely in profits right now. My entry is something around, it's like around this candle close. I was expecting not to close that bearish, somewhere around there, like barely on profits. My stop loss is right below my previous area of support, and of course I'm aiming at my resistance in here. So as you can see, my risk reward is 2.8, not that bad. Still, as soon as this starts moving, I'm gonna keep moving my stop to entry, because, and guys, I don't want to come in here all bullish, all green, and then turn out red. But because you know me, I'm a little bit skeptical, always, right? And I always, I don't know, I don't want to be the party pooper, bro. But this is specifically a great area where market makers could be just, saying, hey, hey buddy, did he bought? Yeah, he bought, dump it, right? So dump it. And I mean, it wouldn't be something that's so surprising. In that case, if they dump it, well, it would have been read right now as a Bart Simpson, something like happening here, maybe a double top with a lower low here, sorry, lower high, or a triple top, right? So let's be very careful. Just so you know, this is half of an entry that I took. My stop loss, it is also somewhere around this candle in here. Maybe it's a little bit lower, something like that. I didn't even do my wiggle room stuff. So I'm being cautious in here. I don't want to get trapped at the top because, guys, let's be honest. How long are we, or how far are we from all-time highs? We are right now, current price, at 1.94% from previous all-time highs, right? So I don't know, man, where do I hit YouTube? This is just effing me off, man. I cannot read you guys. This is crazy. This is crazy, man. I mean, I have so much fun with you guys in the chat. I love to see you guys in here, and I cannot read you. This is just eating me alive. It feels like I'm just here alone. When I usually read you guys, it feels like you are here and I'm there, right? So not just to this, not used to this. But so far, just be careful in here. Remember, this is plan A, of course, right? That is going to the upside. Plan B will be going to the downside, because where else are we going to be going? Backwards? Of course not. But nonetheless, we just still don't have the flip of the ribbon. I was expecting an early flip of the ribbon. Nonetheless, it is trying to push, right? We're very bullish still, and our consolidation score is 0, which means with this volatility, we broke out a calculated range. So do I still see a range in here? Sort of, kind of. Not really a range, but more like, and let me clean this up, more like a triangular pattern. So something like this, right? And then going upwards like that. So I still don't have maybe a defined bottom, but it seems like this is the way to go. So maybe we have a triangular pattern in here. We'll see how that plays out. Hopefully, if it breaks, having this pole like this, it will be easily catching the all-time highs in here. So let's see. Because if we keep going downwards, like that, and then we keep going upwards in here, well, we're going to have a what? We're going to have a disparity between the price action and the oscillator, and that usually creates, let me show you, a bearish divergence, right? So basically, we have a lower momentum, while we have a, from here to there, a higher price action. That usually leads to big retracements further on throughout the price charts. But also remember, when we are in a strong bullish momentum, we can have those bearish divergences. And as long as those bearish divergences do not break key support, I think we have the upper hand to then break to the upside with strength, right? Look at this next bearish divergence. Did had that result, did not broke any major support in here. And then what happens? We ended up hitting the all-time high. So far, doing great. Bitcoin is doing great. Markets are doing great. I'm so far very bullish, but cautiously bullish, right? Once again, this could be a pump and dump. Be very careful. But so far, everything is playing out like we were expecting. Thanks God that we're settling down with China and the U.S. tariff stuff, right? I mean, once they start pulling out the big guns, like more tariff, no exports, no chips, no rare earth metals. Man, things start getting a little shakeout, and I think they realized that, right? And remember, I called this out a couple of months ago, like I don't know, 4 months ago or something like that, when we start seeing the talks about tariff, right? And I mentioned, well, then there is a very thin layer between pushing it and breaking it. So when is it Donald Trump gonna keep pushing it, and when is he gonna know when to stop pushing and let go a little bit and give out a little bit? I think this is the point where not just Donald Trump is also just giving that space. It's taking one step backwards, but also China. China is also doing the same thing, right? So they're going like, all right. I think we both know we don't want to escalate this. I think we both know that this is not the way to go. Let's take one step backwards, right? So I think that's what happened. Let's go over a couple of other news in here. As U.S. trade truce, as we call it, right? So gets back on track. Great. Some Chinese exporters are slowly dying. Remember what we talked about throughout this couple of weeks, right? The explanation on who is the tariff affecting, and just so you guys have also the other way around. So remember, guys, we all live in the same planet. It doesn't matter if you have a different color, skin color, if you have a different eye shape, right? If you have a different accent, maybe here, yours forever, or if you live in a different culture, right? At the end of it all, we are humans. I think we all deserve be looked at like the same, right? And having that into consideration, remember that we don't love countries by themselves. We love the people that live in the country, right? And I think when you travel somewhere, you realize that the people is not that different, right? And then, you start building up bonds with that people, and you fell in love with that people, right? Having said that, well, then, as we talked about, small manufacturers having their stuff needed to be manufactured here or back in the United States, right? Like this fork thing that shoot out stuff out of a barrel, right? They get hit the most. And the same thing's happening all across the border, right? Once again, also yesterday I presented to you a video, right, from Smarter Every Day. Great guy, great YouTube channel. Go watch it. And he also talks about, as a country, you're screwed if you cannot produce the things or the machines that create the things, if that makes sense, right? And that goes both ways, right? I'm talking about, for example, Mexico. If we cannot produce the things that create things, well, we're screwed, right? If the US cannot create the things that created things, you're screwed. And if China cannot create the things that create things, they're screwed, right? I think there's a certain point where we need to strike that balance between creating the necessary basic things and not having to outsource every single thing, right? Or every single process. Having said that, well then, the same intermediate and small businesses, small manufacturers, well then those are the ones that in both sides of the lines, they're getting hurt. They're slowly dying. That's because those are the ones that get eaten the most out of those tariff costs, right? Because they don't build as in bulk within major and bigger industries, right? Also remember that there's kind of like a outsourcing where they can, for example, sell to Singapore, and then Singapore sells back to the US, basically going around the tariff like that. But anyways, the thing is, the exports or the tariff hits both ways the same center belt, right? So they don't hurt the lowest, they don't hurt the highest, they hurt us in the middle, right? So we need to be a little bit careful with this one because we know middle class, it is usually what sustain most of our countries, most of our governments, because that is where we pay the most taxes, right? Just so you know. So that's just wanted to bring this into perspective. Let's go to the next news and see how is it going. Activist hedge fund Parvus builds stake in Novo Nordic FT reports. So we're doing basically much better here. We're seeing that growth. The FT report says that Parvus did not disclose the size of the stake in Nordisk in Danish securities law. So this is not looking great for them. Although we're seeing that more and more. Let me just clarify something. The funds and the hedge funds, they've been just going crazy with Bitcoin. I think this is good. When I mentioned that we're doing great, it's not that they're not reporting stuff, right? I mean, I'm talking about institutional interest on Bitcoin, and that's where I believe that we're seeing this pump also kind of like going inside, right? So apart from the actual news, well then. I think that interest on Bitcoin, it is building back up. Maybe we have the next pump run. That's what I expect. And let me just clarify that, right? I'm not saying that not reporting going against the law is good. No. Always paid all your taxes. Always declare everything that you do, right? Wink, wink. And I think because that's why I get my comment section restricted. Not sure why, right? In May, company announced the CEO's Lars Riff, whatever, nailed it, right? George Jensen would set up a down after shares plunged from record highs in June last year as competition, particularly from U.S. rivals Eli Lilly, LLY.N, makes inroads into Nova's market shares, while it pipelines of new drugs has failed to impress investors. So, well, doing fantastic. Let's go in here. This is basically what I want to get to. FTS SE 100 falls short of record closing highs. So, well then, let's see how it goes. U.S.-China trade talks going well as meeting resumes as it happens. Perfect. This is what we want to see. Also, moving to the timeline here, World Bank cut growth forecast aim trade tensions. So, well, yep, tensions are not going away that quickly, but I think we have that little bit of a breath, right? So just having that fresh air to a little bit of a breath before we go underwater for a little bit more. But still, we're not doing that bad, I will say. What are small businesses confidence pick up in the U.S.? Perfect, that's amazing, and I think that is because we're seeing that cooperation between China and in the U.S. Right? I think we're going all right. Small and medium businesses are going like, all right, you know what? I think we might have a workaround in here. Let's see how it goes, right? So again, everything falling in line with the narrative that we have seen. CGTN Europe, US, and China have concluded trade talks in London. US official, perfect, nice. Where we have seen this video, let's move because we have a little bit of important news here. This is news that has been updated. Remember, updated 7 hours ago. We gave a partial news of this. So crypto funds assets hit record high as investor hedge and diversified. Perfect. We see that hedge getting influx, right? The same that I mentioned in here. So just making sure that we're following and we're keeping track. And we see a couple of graphics in here that I want to go over. So basically, crypto funds net asset hit record highs on May. Perfect, we're seeing that. I think we're gonna see a retracement, a slight retracement, because as everything goes up, look at that record high, retracement, record high, retracement, record high, retracement, record high, retracement. So I would expect a little bit of a retracement. Maybe we can do a little bit of another pumping here, but I do expect maybe another retracement. Other points in here, it is look at the price performance of Bitcoin versus gold and equities. So Bitcoin have been grown more than 50% over the past 3 months. So you keep a track where I'm reading here, outperforming a 3.6% rise of the MSCI World Index. That is fantastic, and 30% against gold. We need to take into consideration that gold has a crazy market cap. All right, we just need to take into consideration that, because sometimes this could be a little bit deceiving, right? So, for example, let's just say that you have a 30-person cake. If you take a 1% slice, maybe that 1% slice might be good enough for you to eat is enough cake, right? But then if you have, I don't know, just a 3-person cake, a 1%, that will be much, much, much smaller, right? Just so you have into comparison. So the size of the cake equals the size of the market cap. Just keep that in mind, right? So let's see growth in here. And what we're looking for is for Bitcoin to basically outperform everyone. And also look at the dumps that we're seeing, right? Something important I want to show you, and we've been talking about gold recently, it is the gold chart. As Bitcoin falls, what happens overall with gold? It keeps going upwards, and they meet in this chart. Of course, MSCI World, yeah, we'll just look at it from the sides, right? From the far. But so far, Bitcoin doing great. Just remember that as it goes up, it goes down. In gold, it slowly creeps on and keeps on going, especially on uncertainty zones. At this point, I think we should be seeing a little bit more migration from gold market cap to Bitcoin market cap. It's a huge difference. Still, at some point, we might be seeing Bitcoin depegging and going parabolic against gold. Still gold, again, the same standard, right? Everybody goes to gold when things are not looking great. And I think that's not going to change for the next maybe decade or something. So let's go over really quickly to the calendar. For today numbers, well, I think we have 4 important meetings in here. Core inflation year month over month, year over year, inflation rate of month over month, and of course, inflation rate year over year, CPI May and CPI SA May. So I think those meetings are going to be important for today. We'll see how we already have numbers. Sorry. Let's see. I thought it was 6 p.m. Perfect. We have much lower than we expected. Core consumption price on the U.S., which exclude food and energy, rose 0.1% month over month in May 2025, following a 0.2 increasement in April, and below the expectation on 0.3. I think this has to do with the tariff. It is just shaking things out, but still we see a contraction economy. Again, optimistically cautious, right? Remember that we looked at the PMI data also yesterday. We talked about how it's also contracting and what it could be meaning. Remember, in a fiat based government, we need recessions. There is just no other way around, all right? There is just no other way around. And we need to understand that the better they handle this, right, the less of an impact we should be seeing in this recession. I think we're going for so far, I think we're doing great. Not because I'm in the US, but because if the US doesn't do great, no other country does great, right? Maybe Europe, but not Mexico, if that makes sense. So I think we're doing fantastic so far. let's keep it up. Yeah, we're falling short, of course, but I think it could be much, much worse. So confidence and euphoric feelings might be pushing up as we see results on the tariff talks, and that usually helps a lot, a lot in these numbers because sentiment of the people push them to feel more confident, spend more, circulate money more, right? And of course, has a better approach to it. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, not as unexpected results, but everything it is back at bullish. See how those numbers are not great, but the result of a small victory really can turn things around. Everything is green, right? So let's go to Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. So far, Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, it is right now, or 50 minutes ago, at 72, doing fantastic. I mean, this is not an extreme greed. We're not like overshooting. We're still within the acceptable zoning here, right? So this is going to be important when we talk about retracements, right? Let's go back to the Bitcoin pricing here. Oh, and we have an alert of from Solana. We'll take a look at that in a second. But so far, look at that, pushing through, going higher despite the bad data that we have today. You see how things, fundamental news can help the markets. Well, then again, if we're seeing, where is it? Come on. Was it here? Yeah. We're seeing those numbers not that in extreme greed. I think we have that room to keep pushing upwards as the charts also suggest that we're going to be doing. So let's take a look at Solana also now that we have the setup in here or the alert. Perfect. I was expecting a little bit more of a ranging zone, but that's fine. Remember yesterday we said either we range or we break through. I was expecting maybe a 2-cycle ranging here and then a breakthrough, but it happened almost right away. We are hitting tops in here at this point to resistances. Remember, those resistances are both equilibrium, support and resistance, and of course our money flow POC along with this huge bar that act as a resistance. So far, what's going on the price action is that we're pushing, but also we're making a lower movements on your hour oscillator. Do expect that if we go higher and if we turn into the red area in here, we're gonna be creating a bearish divergence, right? So will that be great? Nah, sort of, because at this point, remember what I mentioned, we need to break with strength or at least high enough on Solana. So when we have the retracement, and remember also what I mentioned on the retracement when we are on a bullish market. Look at that. Retracement, and as long as we don't break key supports, we're up for the next movement, all right? Let's see once again. Bearish divergence, retracement. As long as we don't break key support, we're up for the next movement to the upside, right? Once again, bearish divergence. As long as we don't break key support, I think we're up for the next movement to the upside. Perfect, right? So I think that's pretty clear, right? So let's not fear at this point the bearish divergence unless we start seeing them on daily or even weekly, which we're gonna be talking about that in a second. But so far, doing great. If we have a bearish divergence, that will just mean that retracement that we are waiting for a next re-entry on Solana. So Solana, doing great. Keep pushing. Buddy, although I don't really like Solana as a project, well then, if it does money, it does money. And let me tell you something. I mean, I had really high hopes for Solana last cycle. But seeing that they fail on the lever over and over and over and over, it takes you to say, you know what? I don't know. What are they doing? What are they doing, right? Again, I don't want to hate on Solana. It's just a little comment. I mean, for example, if you like BNB, I hate BNB, but still trade it. So same thing with Solana. It's not that I hate Solana. It's just that it doesn't get me as excited as before. But still, I do trade it because I still see the potential. But I go like, man, I really don't put too much expectations in Solana at this point. But that's just on me. All right, let's take a look at Link ADA and Ethereum. Let's get started with a hashtag F Ethereum. And man, it just, I even hear myself like in echo here. Not reading this, man. I know it's in my head, the echo thing, but that's how it feels. Let me zoom out just to cut through this spaghetti here. I know it's a little intense. Here is the things, all right? Let me zoom out a little bit. And we were expecting that curve topping here. Also, we had that range. We're expecting the low pointing here. Breakout, right? Or at least top of the range. Just so you know, I'm still a quarter into this position. That is perfect. I'm not even going to be closing it as we hit our next resistance at 2,888. I'm still gonna hold that position. I'm not gonna close anything else because this is a very low leverage, just so you know. So my the percentage of gaining here is very limited, and having such a good positioning here, well then it's good enough for me to take the risk of a breakout, even further retest, right? And then off we goes. So as long as I don't break this trend line here, I'm not gonna be calling out my current trade. I already have taken 50% out. Remember, since it was a half of an entry, I'm still a quarter of a position in there, which give me that confidence stop at entry point. So I have nothing to lose. Come on, I don't want to remove that. All right, much better, finally. So far, I want to hold it as much as I can. So when it's back on really good profits, I can add to my winning position without pushing my entry point so far ahead. Remember, it's better to give it a little bit of a space so we can have that wiggle room as we add to our gains or to our winning positions, right? Where we at, not at the top, we add on the retracements, just so we keep following on that one. So Litecoin, well, Litecoin, guess what, guys? Doing fantastic. So awesome. I know we have a plan A of rejection. It started looking like one, right? But what happened? We were still above the zero line. We did not have the flip of the ribbon. Just now, we're not now. It was basically yesterday at 18 hours of my time. So 6 p.m. Yeah, 6 p.m. Basically at the end of the day, that's when we start having the flip of the ribbon, and we call that out. So the ribbon is actually telling us that we're flipping at the top. Enough, we have, look at that, we've been waiting for that breakout for a little bit of a longer time, right? So since we have enough air above the dynamic reactor, a retracement to the dynamic reactor, we have a little bit more trust that is going to be holding that as a support. What happens? Beautiful support. Here we go. You had your secondary chance to re-enter right here, and we are in green right now. So I'm gonna be doing here, or I'm gonna be calling out for you guys a move to stop to entry. So far so good. Remember what we even put a intention long in here. Remember that one? Man, I so regret not having taken that one, but it is what it is. We look for retracement, we re-enter, we look for retracement, we re-enter, and that's what we do. That's why we have a plan A and plan B. So whatever it happens as the thing or as the price action evolves, we know what to follow on, right? And what actions to be taken. So let's take a look at BNB. BNB moving fantastically. I did not take any trade so far. We are on resistance, but still above the dynamic reactor. Usually this means that we're gonna have a little bit of a shaky, maybe hovering above this trend line as the dynamic reactor keep making a pressure here. As you can see, we have two hidden bearish divergences, but still, if we turn green, do expect a retracement and then a breakout. Another important thing is that if we break out inside, do wait for that retracement, and that's your entry for a bullish continuation. But still, I will wait just a little bit here. This is not one of my entry opportunities unless we go back to the zero line in here, to the dynamic reactor in here, and we have a flip of the ribbon above the zero line. Other than that, BNB on hold for now. So let's add one of our alerts in here, one for the dynamic reactor and another one for a trend line breakout. All right. In fact, you know what? I have a little bit of a better idea. Let's clone this trend line. Perfect. Let's push it a little bit farther. So we have a threshold, and then we add an alert on that trend line. That way, we don't need to really rely on a flat surface, but into a tilted surface, which is what we're expecting to happen, right? Let's take a look at Atom. Atom doing great. We have a little pausing here, dump and pump. I need to see a flip of the ribbon. Your entry was on the dynamic reactor, still not a clean and clear entry. So if you did not took it, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be waiting for a little bit of that ranging zone and then a breakout retest. Again, look at your prime score. It's pretty good so far. I mean, it's above 5, so we are green. I need to see the change of color and of course the flip of the ribbon. So once again, I do want to trade Atom just because I like it. Let me be honest. And then also right here below the dynamic reactor. Let's go and take a look at the XRP. XRP, we were looking at there we go, a triangle breakout retest. Off we go. We're going very close to our next resistance. We're having flip of the ribbon, early flip of the ribbon. We are still on the red. So I do expect, look at how the cloud are getting smaller and smaller, right? So I want you to notice how the cloud is getting smaller and smaller. So that usually indicates that I'm going to be ranging and slightly going upwards. So when I have enough compression at the top, I might be breaking downwards with maybe a big dynamic reactor support entry. So let me see if I can find you an example of that. I think we'll be a little bit too far away, but let's see, something like that, but much more intense. So we see that compression. We see this compression going up. I don't think that we're going to do that parabolic movement, just so you know, all right? Just so you know. So compression, breakout to the downside. In this case, we should have gone to the dynamic reactor, but we range that it is a strength signal, and then we break out. In the next case, I strongly believe that we're going to have a slightly change of reaction in here. So it's going to be much violent to the dynamic reactor, and then a continuation. Of course, the dynamic reactor is not that far away, is it at this point, right? So let's just do the final checkout in here. So once again, look at our dynamic reactor. It's a much smaller change or drop, right? And by the way, I think that we could be turning green somewhere around here. So do expect the green have that retracement, right? And then, well, then in continuation, just like the red had the retracement, all right? So, yeah, keep an eye on XRP. So XRP, I also want to add an alert to my previous highs in here. And I'm going to be slightly moving it downward somewhere around here so it matches with these highs. I want to keep an eye on it. So Link, let's take a look at Link. So we were expecting a little bit of a movement to the downside. Seems that the correction is happening either sideways or tilted. We're already green. I could be expecting a little bit of a retracement in here to have a sweep of the lows for then a continuation. Seems like the breakout retest to the dynamic reactor is not playing out still. What I'm going to be doing is adding another alert right here in case I can hit that entry, or at the top if I'm already losing that entry and I could be going for maybe the next retracement. So we have some resistances in here. I guarantee you, there we go, right? So what I'm going to be looking for is hitting this alert for then the retracement and then a possible continuation, or keeping my short to the dynamic reactor. I still don't know. Once I'm here, I'm going to decide what I'm going to be doing based on my charts, all right? So I think that would be an overall perspective here. Let's take a look at gold, because we've been talking about gold. Gold is doing great. It keeps kind of like creeping up in here. We need to be a little bit careful now because we just broke above the zero line and I don't see the reaction that I was expecting. We usually look at that. Yep, I in this case took 1, 2, 3 in a gap, right? Since we broke above our dynamic reactor, so we broke above here, 1, 2, and then the third one In here, we broke 1, 2. We still might have one more candle, but still just be careful in this section, because now that we're gaining confidence in the markets, right? Now that Donald Trump has talked hopeful or cheerfully about opening up China, and that they want the good stuff for China too, well then we might be losing some interest on gold, or people that we're looking to going back from safety to invest in. Now that things are getting bullish, they might be taking some profits, so that could be a retracement. So areas of entry, once again, your circle right down here on your trend line in here. In fact, what I'm going to be doing is fixing that trend line a little bit higher here. I'm going to be right click locking it, and once again right click adding an alert for a possible re-entry. Right, so that will be it. I might be thinking, well, not I might be thinking, I will be looking for a next re-entry around maybe next Monday or something like that. So that's what I'm planning to take another piece of my Bitcoin out. And it's not that I'm gonna be selling out for dollars or anything like that. I want to move it either for my gold staking, or I want to move it to my retirement fund. So I'll keep you guys updated based on what's going on in here, because a retracement on gold might be leading me to enter or to re-enter. Instead of just sending into my savings account, I will be maybe just buying gold with that Bitcoin, which implies turning the Bitcoin into USD and then USD back to gold, right? But yeah, so far that's what I'm seeing. Also, by the way, not a sponsor, but Uphold offers kind of like some cards where you can exchange between directly from gold to Bitcoin or to Litecoin to gold and many other things. It is very useful, but their fees are kind of high. But if you don't want to break your head or anything, go check them out. Again, this is not a suggestion. They're not affiliates or anything like that. Do it under your own risk, all right? But so far, just so you know, I use them once in a while, especially when I use in Brave. I have linked my wallet to Uphold. But again, not a suggestion. Just if you want another piece of information that is out there, that is something that you can look into. Something else that I want to go over is copper. Copper doing fantastic. I'm not liking this pattern, like an M pattern, but still we are doing fantastic because we have not yet broken the trend line. So as long as we are keeping above our trend line, I'm going to be looking for the next flip of the ribbon. Look at it has a very nice pattern. Look at that, flip of the ribbon, flip of the ribbon, flip of the ribbon. The only thing that I want you guys to notice is that it's not that we're making like a trend line. Well, sort of, like, right? sorry for that. But I want you guys to notice that the farther that we go in time, the smaller this flip of the ribbon of this wicking action it gets. There's going to be a point in which this is going to be so small that then we're going to have a break of that structure. And I don't think this is going to be to the upside. I think it's going to be to the downside. So look at how slowly creeping. It's not making the actual big wave pattern known on that copper does when it's doing great, right? It's kind of like a pushing it, trying not to let go of its line, right? So be careful. So far, I cannot say anything else that is not what I'm saying, which is looking great, but we don't have that next higher high as I would have liked it. All right, so just be careful with copper. If you're not trading copper, just keep an eye on it once in a while, because this talks about the construction side and also technology side that uses copper, basically how that contraction is happening, if it's actually taking results now or not, are we doing better or not. So in this case, we are just fighting for our life at this point. Still, we haven't broke through support, so I cannot say that we're bearish at all. That will be not only false, that will be an understatement, right? But still, if we start seeing breakthroughs, well, we have a ton of supporting here. So maybe we can take advantage of maybe a dead cat bounce or something around those lines. We'll need to see how that goes and also how the markets reacts to any other new tweet that we might be seeing. All right. So guys, I think this is it for today. Not sure what's going on with the comments. I'll try to go live today also with Trading with OC. Very sorry about yesterday. I promise you I tried like 4 or 5 times. It did not let me edit any of my setups. So every new live stream was an old setup. I was muted and then kicked me out. I don't know what's going on. But so far, seems like it's sort of like working. Couldn't get the comment section. But if not, do expect today that if I cannot go live for any reason, I'll let you know on the Piper Academy. But I will be uploading a video, right? So I will not longer just be stranded by YouTube's live thing. So I'll do a video for you guys. And if we can go live, we'll go live. And if not, the video is going to be put up I don't know, like an hour after, because I need to record it at that point, right? But other than that, I promise you a video today or a live stream today. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining. So sad I don't get to talk to you guys, but maybe I can see you in the Discord. And guys, have a great rest of your day and fantastic midweek. Guys, thank you so much. See you guys tomorrow.
I don't know what they keep telling me. I don't know what they keep telling me. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling after wheels fall off. I know you hungry for knowledge, that's profit appetite. Classes in session, this for the Army Piper acolytes. Trade flag at the soul, train ready. What a line from OCI, former Mexican spaghetti. Yo, crunch crypto with a deep dive to project dime. And if you like the visual powered by Car Prime, then you were part of that alumni, that's all spine. But if you have step, fall back to offline. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling after wheels fall off. Sound off.
To get with them, the ZTS rhythm. Rip it, Alexandra.
Yeah, that's my alumni, you know what I mean?
That was awesome, dude!